Well, 2025 is officially here and 2024 is now over. 2024, of course, was one of the craziest years that I think any of us have ever seen within the world of crypto. The amount of adoption, the amount of mass growth that we've seen from retail and institutions across Bitcoin and altcoins. I mean, it was nothing short of phenomenal. And of course, as we do move into 2025, I was like, you know what? It's January 1st, New Year's Day. I want to sit down and have a conversation with you all, kind of telling you about my thoughts for the market, maybe a couple things that I learned from 2024, maybe how I'm feeling about 2025, my plan for investing into crypto in 2025, and much more. So this is going to be a little bit of different style. We're not going to be going into the charts or any of that stuff today. I'm simply just going to be sitting here talking to you. So maybe save this video for a drive later today or something like that. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, kind of recapping 2024. As I mentioned before, without getting too deep into it, obviously 2024 was a fantastic year. I think it was a year that went as it should, in my opinion, right? We obviously saw ETF approvals. We saw Donald Trump win presidency. We saw all of the things that we needed to see in order for this crypto market to really start turning bullish. And we saw it, but we didn't see it go so parabolic and so crazy that it was unsustainable, right? What, of course, I was worried about, what I told you all many times months ago, is that I'm concerned that if the crypto market rallies to say 150K or 180K this year, that we wouldn't really be able to see this market sustain itself and that it would end much sooner. If not end this year, I thought maybe the bull market would end this year if we saw Bitcoin run to 180, right? Maybe have a blow off top altcoin season over the next month or two. As we get into January 20th, Trump gets put into office. That's the end of the bull market, right? Like, that was a very much a possibility. But it's not what we saw, gladly. And I didn't really think that's what we were going to see, but I was just aware that that was an opportunity. Whereas what we saw was obviously this market rally as a result of institutional investment, great news, overall mass adoption, and all of the good things, again, that we needed to kick off the bull market. And I would say that the crypto market showed... it reflected the intrinsic value growth that we saw in crypto, right? As a result of Bitcoin's adoption, institutional investment, and all of these things allowing more liquidity, I believe intrinsically cryptocurrency as a whole became more valuable. Therefore, the crypto market growing in total market cap makes a ton of sense. But I believe it moved in more of a proportionate ratio, in the sense that I believe how far we've gone up and how far we've moved is how far we are supposed to have moved. And that's a good thing. We don't want to see this market becoming irrational. We don't want to see this market going too far or not going enough. I believe we were right on spot, right on the money this year. And I think that's a very good sign and setup for 2025. I'm under the belief that 2025 is still going to have a bull market. I'm under the belief that Bitcoin is still going to be able to set higher highs. I think Bitcoin will set an all-time high this year. I do think we are going to see the total market cap of altcoins set a higher high, if not a pretty substantial higher high. I would say that I think that the total market cap of altcoins is going to be able to double or triple from here. My primary reasoning is that realistically, the altcoin market is at basically all-time highs right now over the last month or so without much retail investment at all. Obviously, there was some retail interest on things like XRP, but that was somewhat limited towards just Ripple. I believe that the fact that we've seen the total market cap of the altcoin market hit all-time high, or very, very, very close to all-time highs this year, based off solely institutional investment and good news for Bitcoin, puts it in a spot to where when we do see that liquidity somewhat flow from the top down to the altcoin market, I do think we're going to see the altcoin market start to grow. And so as a result of that, and knowing obviously, or just being under the belief that we will see some sort of altcoin season, which is becoming a very cliche thing to say, but it is a good explanation, thinking that we are still going to have that, thinking that we are still going to have Bitcoin obviously seeing growth, it is leading me to have a bullish outlook on 2025. Before I talk about my investment strategy, I do think that 2025 may be different than people expect. I'm kind of caught in two boats. I don't know, and I'll be honest, no one knows. There's literally nobody on the face of this earth that knows exactly how 2025 is going to go for crypto, so don't let these other YouTubers lie to you and say, oh, follow me and you'll win. No one knows what's going to happen. It's just about creating strategies that adapt to anything, but anyway, we'll get into that later. I'm caught in between two boats right now. Boat number one is that the bull market is never going to see some sort of blow off top again. Like, we're not going to see some big moment where Bitcoin just absolutely flies off the handle to say $200,000 and then crashes and starts a bear market like we've seen before. There's a boat that I'm in now that kind of feels as if there could be some truth behind that. You know, a commenter said recently, Tyler, one thing you don't talk about enough is the fact that as there are diminishing gains and diminishing returns, there will be diminishing pullbacks. In the sense that as Bitcoin, for example, goes further and further into the years, and as we see its price get, the returns from each bull market become smaller, so are the pullbacks. history shows that the percentage pullbacks that we're seeing from the Bitcoin price specifically and the crypto market in general are becoming smaller than what we've seen historically. And that's normal. It's the reason why something like the stock market doesn't see 50% corrections in one day, because as time goes on, its returns have diminished, but so have its pullbacks. And so there's a piece of me that believes like, hey, what if we do see just sustainable long-term macro growth? We see periods where we're going up, like from January to February and March of this year. Then we go through maybe 4 or 5 months of stagnation, or no, stagnation is probably not the word, right? But it becomes stagnant. Just not a lot is happening. Or obviously, like we've seen, we saw obviously the crypto market go absolutely crazy, hit 107,000, and then it pulls back. Bitcoin pulls back, pulls the altcoin market down with it a little bit, and then we go a little bit sideways. And what if that is the trend? And obviously some pullbacks will be bigger than others, but what if we never truly see a major bear market again? What if we never see a definable bear market, in the sense where, we were obviously in a bear market for 3 years over the last 2 years, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. If there was ever a moment in which that could start to come to fruition, I think that could be now. You got to think about the fact that the timeline says that 2025 should be the end of the bull market. Like, that should be the end. That should be the last year of the bull market, just based off the 4-year cycle, right? But if you factor in a couple other things, there are things on the good side and the bad side that could change that. Obviously, you have to also consider the fact that Trump would then be in office, which is going to have an impact on crypto. You got to think that there will be different policies that go into the United States that will hopefully put more dollars into the hands of retail investors, which obviously could flow into crypto and change things up a bit. We have institutional investors, billions and trillions of dollars, who are investing into crypto that aren't going to want to see this market go down like that, right? Because they'll lose a lot of trust with their clients. And so there's so many different things that will happen over the next couple of years, and that have happened recently, that make me feel as if the cycles may look different, and that this actually may be the start of a brand new type of cycle in the world of crypto, where we start to fall more in line with what we see from the stock market, to where it's not so much just devastating bear market losses, but a lot of sideways movement and boring periods. And then you have your moments of growth, your moments of pullbacks, and a lot of boringness. I'm okay with that. Could be interesting. The other boat that I'm in is that everyone is expecting the good things, right? Everyone expecting Trump's going to be in office. We're going to see this with the SEC. We're going to see the bull market rage on. It's going to be just like 2021. We're going to see, obviously, November, December is when it's going to end. Like, everyone is following the 4-year cycle so closely to a T. It makes me start to question whether or not it is going to come to fruition, because we are seeing differences, right? The fact that December, again, was a red month, the first red month that we've seen after a halving. Although I don't think that means the bull market's over. I think that's a ridiculous thought process to have. It is at least worth noting that we are seeing changes in the cycle, and we are seeing changes in the way that things are happening. And when everyone thinks something is going to happen, which I would say most people believe that the crypto market is going to rally this year, and we are going to see the bull market continue into the end of the year, it starts to make me question whether or not it actually happens. It starts to make me wonder whether or not the macroeconomic scene is going to be a factor. It is going to be an issue. The fact that people don't have money, the fact that unemployment is looking a little bit weird, the fact that inflation rates are going back up, right? All of these things make me question whether or not it actually happens. And I'm not sure. So, like, what if we do see one more rally? What if we do see one more push, and then after that, that's it, right? What if the bull market ends up earlier than you would expect? There's all these things that I have to consider, and so because of that, I am very uncertain. I'm very unclear of what this market is going to look like in terms of the way that it performs over the next coming years. And guys, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know. I feel like so many people on YouTube sit and pretend like they know exactly what's going to happen, and they tell their followers this is what's going to happen. And when they're wrong, they just hope you forget. When they're wrong, they just say, oh, well, I'm not a financial advisor, and they try to move on. I'm like, that's just a toxic way to operate a YouTube channel. People have faith in you and your opinion, so at least be honest with them. And my honest opinion, guys, is I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm very confident we are going to see all-time highs. If I was willing to bet on anything, I'm willing to bet on that. I'm willing to bet we will see all-time highs, and I'm willing to bet we are going to see this market have moments where it falls anywhere from 20 to 30%. I believe both of those things are going to happen. The way in which it goes, the order in which it goes, honestly, guys, I just don't know. And so because of that, and kind of with that in mind, I have started to develop a strategy of how I'm going to go about this not knowing. What I do know is we are still in a bull market. That's the case. I don't believe that the bull market is over. I've seen no signals that say so. We've not lost macro support. We're at best just retesting right now, causing a simple correction. Correction is weird. Correction. Very fine. I believe we're still in a bull market. And so I have developed a strategy for 2025 that kind of goes into how I can capitalize on this market, even though I quite frankly don't know, guys. So let me pull up my notes here just to make sure I don't forget anything. So the very first thing that I am going to be doing is over the next 6 months, okay, at least the next 4 months, but I'll give it 6 just to kind of throw it out there. But from here to like April, May, June, Anytime that we see the crypto market see any big pullbacks, I will be dollar cost averaging. The reason being is that I don't believe that the bull market will end before the summertime. I believe that any pullbacks that we see, at least from here to April, should be returned. Like, we should see it end up in some sort of pump. And so as a result of that, I am going to be dollar cost averaging into each one of these big dumps unless I see macro structure change to the point where I believe the bull market's over. But considering I don't believe that the bull market's over, and considering that I just don't think that it is, quite simply what I'm going to be doing is investing into this market anytime we see big pullbacks. Generally speaking, the way that I approach this is by looking at Bitcoin and using what Bitcoin's doing to base my DCAs on my altcoins. So if Bitcoin's price starts falling, say right now, hypothetically, to $85,000 or $80,000, once we hit those key levels of support for Bitcoin, that's when I'm going to go and look at my altcoins, find other ones that are overextended to the downside, right? RSI is oversold and things like that. Then I'm going to dollar cost average on my altcoins. So I will be buying some Bitcoin as a result of Bitcoin hitting key support levels, but I'll also use that as a signal to start purchasing some altcoins as well. I am still, for the next month or two, at least going to be basing the majority of my investment decisions off what Bitcoin does, because we're in Bitcoin season. Don't let people convince you otherwise. Until we see the macro breakdown from Bitcoin dominance and from Bitcoin's price performance itself, we are in a Bitcoin season. And what Bitcoin does will determine, for the most part, what the broad altcoin market does. And until that changes, this is my game plan. That's what I'll continue to do. So yeah, dollar cost average on any dip, any major dip that we're seeing from the crypto market over the next coming weeks, especially over the next coming months. Now, let's kind of talk about some strategy, like some real numbers, okay? So, I am going to plan on taking profits. Let's say the crypto market doesn't dip and it starts rallying. We do start seeing that pump that I'm talking about, okay? Let's give the hypothetical. So, I told you what I'll do if it dips. I'll be buying. If we start to see a pump, I will be taking a lot of profits. I have every intention to close down anywhere from 50 to 70% of my investment portfolio in crypto right now by March. By March. But I'll be starting really heavily in March. But by the summer, I would like to have exited anywhere from 50 to 70% of my total portfolio in profits. Now, the reason being is because under the circumstance in which we do see this market really starting to rally, what I want to do is I want to lock in profits. I am very exposed to the world of crypto. About 30% of my total net worth is in crypto. And so as a result of this, I feel overexposed to some degree. I'm a huge fan and huge advocate of diversification. I believe investing money into real estate or stocks, retirement accounts, and all these other things, maybe precious metals, which isn't for me, but it is for some people, right? I believe investing in some of those other things is a very important thing to do. I'm getting to a point in a financial perspective in my own life where I want to start protecting the money that I've made and not so much keep risking it over and over and over again. And knowing that I'm under the belief that this would make a lot of sense if this is the end of the bull market sometime within the first, quarter two or quarter three of this year, my strategy is to close down 50 to 70% of my total crypto portfolio. Now, is that a bad thing? Some people are going to think that's FUD, that's bearish. I don't care. If you think that's bearish and you think that's FUD, kick rocks. Honestly, it's just... take profits, right? Because the reason why I want to do that and the reason why I want to pull those profits is because I want to position myself to be prepared, okay? So what my game plan is, I want to take profits during the bull market, which I believe we're in. And if we do continue to pump, we're definitely in a bull market, obviously. And I want to use those profits for other things. Now, here's the way in which I'm going to use those profits over the next 4 to 6 months. I'm going to take 20% of those profits that I make from the top 15, top 20, top 30 cryptos that I hold, and I am going to reinvest it into more risky ones. So micro caps, meme coins, pre-sales, things like that. Just in case we do see the crypto market actually take the normal approach, which is, okay, the top cryptos will pump, the bottom cryptos will start to pump, altcoin season begins, bottom cryptos 100x, 1000x, and then it's the end of the bull market. If it does go in that natural cycle, which I believe it will, and would make a lot of sense for it to, and it's showing signs of it already, what I want to do is take some of the profits that I made from things like ADA, Solana, SWI, etc., take those profits off the table, reinvest them back. 20% of the profits that I take, reinvest them back into my micro caps, meme coins, pre-sales, OTC deals, allocation deals, private sales, things like that. The risky stuff, okay? Best thing is, if I lose all of that money, I still locked in 80% of the profit that I took. Totally fine by me. Best case scenario here is that if we do see that, of course, happen and the natural cycle progresses, that 20% will probably end up 5xing, 10xing, which will make my total profit I pulled from my top 20 or top 30 end up doubling or tripling under the right circumstances. And so I'll be taking 20% of my total profits that I take from my top 15, top 30 cryptos and reinvesting 20% of it back into smaller ones and more risky ones. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to take 30% and I'm going to start using that as a cash, a bit of a nest egg. So I'm going to take about 30% 30% of the profit that I sell. So say maybe I'll take $10,000 of profit out of Bitcoin, right? What I obviously will do is I'll take $2,000 and put it towards risky stuff. I'm going to take $3,000 and to set it aside as cash, probably put it in a money market account, make 4% with Morgan Stanley, be very happy with that, make a little bit of that money on the side while I'm preparing for the pullback. And so what I'm either going to be doing is looking for the bear market to start, or if the bear market doesn't come, like it may not, right? The cycles may change going forward. If it doesn't happen, but we do enter a period in which we're going very sideways like we saw last summer, right? Or maybe it's a period where the market does fall 30%, but then it starts to recover. I want to use that bag that I'm building over time by taking profits and reinvest it at better prices, right? So whether that's in a bear market or just a macro period of consolidation, I'd rather take some of that profits and reinvest it during times like those, because it's becoming more and more likely that I can generate more gains off of it. You may think, well, Tyler, why not hold it? Well, the reason being is because at a point, say Bitcoin goes to 150K and I have, my profit in it. Every single time from that point forward that Bitcoin goes up $1, the likelihood that it keeps going up is getting lower and lower and lower and lower. So I'd rather take profit and put it back in a little bit into those periods in which Bitcoin's price is going down, because the likelihood that we see Bitcoin's price go up from there is becoming higher and higher and higher and higher. So I'm basically just removing some cash off the table and being ready to reinvest it under the circumstances that I have a higher likelihood of making money. That's the idea. And if a big opportunity pops up and I don't reinvest the money back into crypto, but I go buy a 10plex or a 30plex or whatever, I'm in a good spot. It's all good one way or another. Now, speaking of that, what I am then going to do is I'm going to take 50% of the profit that I do make from all of them, like all the money that I make throughout the bull market and throughout what we've been seeing recently. We'll take 50% and I am going to be investing it into other things outside of the world of crypto. As I told you before, my total net worth is now about 30% to sometimes 35% in crypto. I feel overexposed. I believe that once the bull market does kick off, that number's probably going to jump to 40 or 50%. It's too much for me. When my net worth was like low five figures, for example, it was fine. I was willing to take that risk. When my net worth was 12K, having 6K in crypto, it's fine because I know I can make that 6K back. Once I started getting into the lower six-figure ranges, then I started to be a little bit more aware of it. And now that I'm getting into like the low to mid seven-figure ranges, having, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in crypto, it's just becoming more of a risk, right? And so if I am going to take that risk, I want to put it in good things. And so what I want to do in my game plan is to take some of the profits that I'm making, remove it from crypto, remove it from my risky micro caps, pre-sales, and all these things, and go put it into real estate. For example, we bought a 10plex up in Michigan a couple months ago with profit that I took back in April. Those are the things that I want to do because crypto will always be here. And I know I can always make money in crypto. I can always trade. I can always open and close these trades and generate money and generate revenue. So knowing that as long as crypto's around, I can make money in the world of crypto, it doesn't make sense for me to also then be reinvesting every dollar that I make back into crypto. So now my entire game plan, or now, if I was to do that, all of my income and net worth growth comes down to crypto, and it's just not a sustainable thing. It's a risky thing to do in an asset class that is this new. I love crypto to death. It changed my life. But to be honest, you can't say that just because crypto is great, that you should put all your eggs in one basket. Who's really ever told you to do that that's been successful? Maybe a handful of people, but there are millions of others that say it's not a good idea, who are in better financial positions than I am. And so because of that, what I'll do is I'll take 50% and I'll go buy some rentals. Maybe I'll put it in a VOO. Maybe I'll go buy other pieces of businesses. One thing you guys know, I do buy businesses, start businesses, launch platforms, things like that, the school, all this stuff, right? So reinvest that money to make it work for me outside of crypto, because even the money that I'm going to have left in crypto is going to be making enough money. Because you got to think, I'm only going to be taking some profits, but I'm only closing 50 to 70% of my total bags. And so you got to think, I'm going to have 30 to 50% of my total portfolio still open in crypto. And then I'm reinvesting some of that profit back into crypto. So that takes it to 35%, 55%, 60% of my total position that I have now will still be open after I do this. And so my whole game plan is just deleverage. As my crypto portfolio makes a bunch of money, I'm going to close down 30 to 50% of it. I'm going to take that money, reinvest some back into crypto, make some just a dollar cost average back for during a bear market, and take 50%, and I'm going to put that into other investments like real estate, stocks, precious metals, watches, etc. So that's my strategy. And ideally, by the end of me doing all that, what I'll then be able to do is have much more of a better diversified portfolio. Ideally, my portfolio could go down to 15 or 20% in crypto, 20% in real estate, 20% in stocks, 20% in cash, because then it gives me opportunity. People always get so single minded on things where they're like, okay, my whole game plan is I want to make as much money as possible, so I'm going to put it into crypto. And although I do value people like that because they're so confident in the one thing that they do, I don't feel like that's necessary for me. Because what I make money on, guys, is not particularly investing for the majority of it. It makes up a good percentage, but it's not all of it. The reason why I invest is to preserve my money. And so I don't need to double down and not only work in the world of crypto, but also invest all my money into the world of crypto or stocks or real estate, because now I'm doubling my exposure, I'm doubling my leverage, and that's just not what I want to do. And so I'm going to use this bull market coming up to generate cash, take some of that cash, put it into rentals and stocks and all these other things, reinvest some back into crypto in hopes to be able to diversify my macro portfolio, my total investment portfolio out a bit, and be able to, of course, be in a spot where I can preserve my wealth and preserve the money that I've made in multiple different places. All that'll grow at different rates, but overall probably be able to generate 15-20% in gains in the best years. That's the goal. And so with that in mind, that's my current strategy. And quite simply, just to break it down again, by the middle of the year, I'd like to close 50 to 70 let's go calling 70% of my total portfolio, just depending on how things are going. I'm going to take 20% of that cash and I'm going to reinvest it back into more risky cryptos. I'm going to take another 30% of that cash that I took and I'm going to use it to build up a cash just nest egg, in which I'm going to use to reinvest if the bear market does come. If the bear market doesn't come, I'll just casually just dish it back in during big pullbacks. And I'm going to take 50% of the remaining profit that I took and use it to go reinvest into some other assets. Now, obviously, I'll have to pay capital gains tax and all these things. I'm not worried about that. Doesn't bother me. In a big picture, it's a small picture. And so because of that, that's my strategy and that's my game plan for the year. Now, after that, after July, we'll just have to see how it goes, right? Because after July, I'll have, if we went into a raging bull market, I'll probably have closed down 70%. If the bull market stays pretty flat and consistent, I'll have only closed down about 50%. And then with the remaining 50%, I'll just kind of gauge it. I'll say, okay, well, Trump's been in office half a year. How are things looking? How are things seeing? How are they feeling? Are we in a bull market? Is the bull market over? And then I'll be able to reassess. And that's the thing. I don't think there will be a day that I'm alive where I close down my entire crypto position. I couldn't. I love the world of crypto too much. I'm a crypto bull. I think Bitcoin will eventually hit $500,000 or $300,000, right? I think things like Solana will crack $1,000 one day. I think we're going to see ADA at $10, ETH at $10,000. I think all of these things are going to happen. So I would never leave the world of crypto completely, but I have to be smart about the way that I preserve the money that I'm making in the world of crypto and from my businesses that are also in the world of crypto. Now, speaking of the businesses that I have in the world of crypto, I have two that I'm really focused on right now. Obviously, the YouTube channel is massive. To me, it is very important. That is my number one priority. But outside of that, I have an influencer relations agency and I have a crypto school. Now, stay more tuned. We're actually going to be doing the official new launch of the crypto school February 1st. But my total intention is to be able to focus and prioritize my time on those for the majority of the year. Ideally, with my agency, it becomes the number one influencer relations agency in all of crypto. What we do is we obviously help facilitate marketing campaigns and things like that for Web3 projects through creators and paid content creation and things like that. And then, so we're probably in the top 4 or 5 right now in the whole world of crypto. We're the fastest growing and we're the biggest, but in terms of revenue generation, we're probably like number 3 or number 4. So I want to make that number 1. And then this year, I want our crypto school to be the best school that there is. On February 1st, when we do the official merger of my community and another community, there will be over 3,000 people in the school. And my whole goal is to get this to 15 or 20,000 people by the end of the year. I want to help change as many lives as humanly possible through the world of crypto. Crypto's given me everything that I have today. It's changed not only just my life, but the life of the people around me, my children's eventual lives one day, right? Like so many things have changed as a result of crypto. And so because of that, I want to give back as much value, as much knowledge, as much education as humanly possible and build the biggest, best school that there is in all of crypto. So those are 2 major goals that I have this year. And obviously that will be very beneficial if I can pull it off, right? And make it work. And so because of that, that's my strategy. That's my game plan. Very simple. I feel like everybody overcomplicates things a little bit. And that's just kind of it for me, close down a lot of positions, 30, 50, 70% of my total crypto portfolio I'll end up closing sometime this year. Reinvest those profits into other things outside of the world of crypto and put some of it back into the world of crypto. Whenever I do some reinvestments, eventually I am going to And one thing I didn't even tell you guys about that I actually want to go and kind of add in, and I will tell you over in the school, I am going to be posting like my full strategy of exactly what I'm doing, but this is kind of just a rough draft overview. One thing that I am going to be doing is as the bull market does come to an end, and as I do believe the bear market is approaching, I'm going to be closing down the majority of my risk on trades, and the majority you remember I told you I close like 50 to 70%. The 30 to 50% that I do leave open are going to be my big ones. So I'm going to leave a lot of my Bitcoin open. I'm going to leave my ecosystemic tokens open, right? So you're thinking Solana, you're thinking SUI, you're thinking ETH, you're thinking the ones that actually have ecosystems that will need to be around during the bull market and the bear market, right? But I'm going to close down a lot of my small ones, microcaps, utility tokens, like a lot of my smaller ones. And so of that 50 to 70% I close, the majority of that will end up being the ones that are a little bit more risky, and I'll just leave my top 5, top 10 ones open for the most part in order to be able to capitalize even during a bear market. Bitcoin will be around. Solana will be around. They might fall down a lot, but they'll still be around. So I just wanted to share that. And so it's my general strategy. I feel like it's very plain. I feel like it's very simple. This year is going to come with challenges. It is going to put us a lot of us in situations we've never been in before. I think this market will present more issues and dilemmas and problems that we've basically never seen in the world of crypto as a result of institutions. You never know what can happen when it comes to MicroStrategy or BlackRock or any of these ones. You never know what happens if retail does or doesn't come back completely, right? And so I am mentally prepared that I will need to shift. I will need to adjust my strategies, my percentages, my game plan will probably have to adapt over time. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to be able to make moves and adjust on the fly because we're in an expanding and growing and ever evolving asset class, one of the newest asset classes that there is. And so because of that, obviously things will change and you need to be able to adjust with that. And so that's my strategy as of now, though. Like I said before, just to kind of recap, I plan on buying any dip that we see over the next 3 or 4 months pretty heavily. After that, if we do see major pumps, I am going to be closing 30 to 50 to 70% of my total position portfolio. It's like 50 to 70%. It really just depends on how the market's looking. I'm going to take a lot of profits, reinvest it into things outside of crypto, but save some for the world of crypto, and also start building up my cash nest egg now for the bear market whenever that does come, whether that is this year, whether it is next year. And I'm going to keep it very simple. When I do reinvest into things, I'm going to be going narrative by narrative. It really just depends on the narratives that we see. Obviously, there's the AI narrative, there's the US based narrative, there's the deep pin narrative. There's so many different narratives, and obviously we'll cover them as they do go on. We're going to hit some pre-sales. We're going to hit a lot of these things, right? And so it's just a game of adapting, and it's just a game of ever evolving. But I think we'll be well positioned to be able to reinvest some of the profits that we take back into some of these more risky ones, double down on those profits, and really be able to lock in some good stuff. So I know it was a bit of a ranting and rambling session here today for you guys, but it's just, I like to do this sometimes. I like to just cut on the camera and just be like, hey, look, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this is what I'm doing, and this is the game plan. I hope it resonates well with you guys. I hope you guys do enjoy it. Don't forget, if you do want to check out the crypto school that I told you about earlier, you can check it out down below. I'm not going to shill it. You can, I'll shill in other videos. I just want to talk to you guys today. So feel free to go check that out. Check out the BTCC link as well. I think that's about it. The only thing I didn't touch on is leverage trading. I guess I can mention that real quick. I'm still in a spot where I'm not leverage trading, but I do plan on leverage trading again as the year does go on. Only if the market starts pumping. If the market starts dumping, I won't be doing much leverage trading until I get a clear picture of what the macro looks like. If the market does start pumping again, I will start opening up some more leveraged long trades, very, very smart trades, tight stop losses, very low leverage things. I would say the majority, I'll probably only be leverage trading with about 10% of my total portfolio for the rest of this year, throughout the rest of the bull market, just because leverage trading is now at max risk, in my opinion. So I am going to just be cutting back a ton on the total position sizes of my leverage trades, but I will still be doing them, keeping very tight stop losses, but obviously working those stop losses into the profit zones as fast as humanly possible and riding these waves to the upside, trading with the macro trend as we do go upwards. So I will be doing some more leverage trades, but I am still currently in a no trade zone because the manipulation is just blatant right now, and I don't want to be a part of that. But again, when I do get back into the world of trading again, yes, I am going to kind of pull back a little bit and keep 90% of my purchasing or moving or doing anything that I'm focusing on basically in spot buys and spot bags, long-term purchases, while kind of keeping 10% off to the side to be able to kind of reinvest into some leverage trades and obviously open up position by position on 1% of that 10%, things like that. So yep, outside of that though, I don't think there's anything else. I won't be getting into NFTs anytime soon. Not my thing. No yield farming, no passive income protocols. I learned my lesson last bull market. The passive income protocols are going to be the first ones to blow up whenever the bull market ends. So won't be hitting any of those. I'll be keeping it very simple. Dollar cost averaging into good high quality projects, whether they're memes, whether they're utilities, it doesn't matter to me. Taking that profit, moving it out of crypto, diversifying my macro portfolio, protecting my money, and building. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I want to hear your thoughts down below. What are your goals for 2025? What are some things that you would be doing if you were in my position, right? Like, what would you be doing differently? What would you be changing? Would you adjust any of these percentages? You guys know I try to respond to every single comment that's down there. So if you do want to comment, feel free to do so. Don't forget to check out some of those links in the description, and let's kick off an amazing 2025. See you later, everybody. Peace.